Hey guys, welcome back. We just finished learning about inductors and how inductors behave when I connect them in AC circuits. And we looked at a little example here where we calculated, how many ohms this thing was based on the frequency and its inductance. And we also calculated the current in the circuit. Now, this calculation right here, I is equal to E over XL, it works if there's only an inductor in the circuit and no resistance, but that actually doesn't exist. All circuits that have coils in it have, inductive reactance limiting current, but it'll also have the resistance of the coil itself limiting current. And so this isn't really realistic. And so what's more realistic is an RL series circuit. Now, I've drawn these two components as two separate components. The resistance is 30 ohms and the inductive reactance is 45 ohms. But this is very likely just one component. It's a coil, and a coil has inductive reactance and it also has resistance. So even though you see it as two separate components here, it's probably just a coil. But we can draw it as two separate components because it behaves like two separate components. So, I mean, if I have current flowing through a coil, it's going to be it'll be the same current going through the resistance part of the coil and the inductive reactance part of the coil. And so to make things simpler to calculate, we just separate them out as two separate components, and we can make all the calculations based on that. So, and we call those RL series circuits because it is an inductor that has resistance, okay? And since it behaves like a series circuit, we just call it a series circuit. Now, if you take a look at this circuit here, this coil has a resistance of 30 and an inductive reactance of 45, 120 volts, 60 hertz. And we're going to calculate a bunch of stuff about this thing in a second, but before we do that, we're not going to bother with a RL series circuit unless we can remember all the rules for series circuits from level 1. So just for fun here, guys, I'm going to draw a little circuit here. We're going to discuss it really quickly. How does this thing behave? It's going to have just two resistors in it, and this is straight up level 1 circuit here. Imagine this thing is 10 ohms. We're going to call it R1. And we're going to call this one R2, and it's going to be 15 ohms. And I just want to go over the rules for series circuits for a second with you so that we don't forget. Okay, so what's the first rule of series circuits? Well, the very first rule for all series circuits is that there is one current. Okay, there's no such thing as more than one or two currents in a series circuit. Whatever current's flowing through this gadget is also going to flow through this gadget, which means the current here is going to be the current here. All right, so that's the basic rule for series circuits. So the reason we're going over this, guys, is because all these rules are going to apply to RL series circuits as well. So no sense in getting into RL until we've reviewed this here. The second rule, guys, for series circuits, well, it's this one right here, right? RT is equal to R1 plus R2 plus, R3 if there was 3 and more. You can keep adding to that. What that means is the total resistance of this circuit is going to be the sum of all the resistors in the circuit, okay, guys? And, not hard to remember, just going over it real quick here. The third rule for series circuits is Ohm's law, okay? Ohm's law always works. And what that means is I can apply Ohm's law to that resistor and it'll tell me something about it. I can apply Ohm's law to this resistor individually. It'll tell me something about it. I can also apply Ohm's law to this entire circuit here, guys, and it'll tell me something about it. And everything will always work out. Okay, guys? Just for fun, let's actually apply Ohm's law. We'll apply these two rules right here. Our total, guys, looks like it's 10 plus 15, okay? So it's going to be 25 ohms, okay? And that's that one. And now Ohm's law. I can actually apply Ohm's law to the entire circuit, which means I will be E over RT, right, guys? And so it is going to be, in this case, 50 over 25. So it looks like the current is going to be 2 amps. Okay, pretty simple. But let's apply Ohm's law to the individual components, because I can do that too. Now that I know that my current is 2 amps, I can calculate the voltage ER1, right? It is going to be I times R1. And so it is going to be 2 times 10 or 20 volts dropping there. And I can apply, Ohm's law to the other component. It's going to be I times R2, which means it's going to be 2 times 15, which means it's going to be 30 volts right there. So I applied the Ohm's law to the whole circuit. That was good. I can apply Ohm's law there. I can apply Ohm's law there. The last rule for series circuits, guys, is going to be this one right here. E total is going to be ER1 plus ER2 plus ER3 if there are more, ... It just means that in every single series circuit, the sum of the voltage drops is going to equal the sum of the voltage rises, okay? So that means that 20 plus 30 must equal 50, and it does, okay? So what that means is all these rules are working, Ohm's law is working, everything is working, and I can check my answers and it's all good. All right, guys? So those are the rules for series circuits. Now, the good news is when I look at this series circuit, all those rules will apply. But I have to be careful, because with series circuits, RL series circuits, guys, and I forgot to write a note here. Can we go back to this one for a second, guys? Because the other thing that I needed to write down over here was that in AC, guys, inductors cause the current to lag by 90 degrees. Okay, and that's just a fact. And what that means is that if I were to look at a AC coil with that's an inductor, the current, it wouldn't be nicely in phase like it would be with a resistor. If I connect a resistor, guys, to AC, this would be my voltage, guys, okay, and my current would be nicely in phase, okay? That's if I had a resistor. With an inductor, the current lags by 90. All right, guys? And that's just a fact of life with inductors. They always cause the current to lag by 90. Come back, and we'll take this one up, okay, guys?